Hi everybody, my name is REDRUP, this is the It's Not a Phase podcast, and on this episode I'm joined by ten56 frontman Aaron Matz. We talk all about their new EP Downer Part 2, how it links with the first Downer EP that they dropped in 2021, forming and announcing the band during the lockdowns, his reasons for stepping down from Betraying The Martyrs, plans for 2023 and loads more. Now, if you enjoyed this or any other episode of the podcast and you want to show your support, there's a few ways that you can do that. Number one, leave a rating and review wherever you're listening to this. It takes just a few seconds and it really does help. Number two, share this on your social media, whether that be Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever. Or number three, if you want to go the extra mile, you can pay a little bit each month to join the Patreon, and in return you'll get access to episodes early along with some other perks, or you can pick up some merch from the store. All the links to that and the podcast socials where you can follow us can be found at itsnotaphase.co.uk. That's itsnotaphase.co.uk. And now with all that out of the way, let's jump right into this week's episode of It's Not a Phase. What's up everybody? Thank you for joining me on this episode of It's Not a Phase, where I'm joined by Aaron Matz of 1056. How you doing, man?
I'm good, mate. How are you doing? Good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, all good. So how was your Christmas and New Year's? How did you spend it? What did you do?
Well, I was planning to go back to Leicester, where I'm from, for Christmas, but then there was a bunch of strikes, the passport control and the air control and everything else. So I just ended up staying in, playing computer games with a couple of mates, got shit-faced on New Year's Eve, and then got extremely sick and ruined the start of my year. What about yourself?
New year, man. Yeah, man. I mean, my Christmas was pretty chill. Just went back and saw the family, ate way too much. And then New Year's Eve was a pretty chilled one as well. But I was feeling a bit ill then, so I was kind of restricted on what I could do anyway. So let's talk about the new EP, Downer Part 2. Follow up to Downer Part 1, obviously. How are you feeling about putting it out there?
Yeah, super stoked, man. I mean, a little bit of pressure because, when Part 1 came out, it was like a completely new band. Like, we had no expectations whatsoever. Kind of started this band out of just a really strong need and want to do something like different to what I was doing before. I just wanted to do something really heavy and didn't, given the nature of the music, didn't really expect for it to take off. And it took off. I'm not saying it took off like crazy, but yeah, it took off. And so there's quite a lot of anticipation and maybe the bar was set pretty high by the Part 1, so a little bit of pressure. But yeah, I think we're all confident. There's a small evolution in the sound, but one that's still consistent with Part 1. And I think that people are really going to appreciate that we're taking things a little bit further and not dumbing things down or anything like that. Yeah, honestly, I'm feeling really confident. I just hope that it manages to reach as many ears as possible. And once it does, I'm sure that those who were fans of Part 1 are definitely going to be fans of Part 2.
And what would you say is the kind of common thread that bridges these two EPs together to make them a kind of like the Downer series, I guess?
It's funny you say that because that was really important for us because we really wanted to we want to evolve, slow, bit by bit. We don't want to just be a one-trick pony or whatever. But but the one thing that we wanted to keep was that really, really deep droney sound and that wide and complex production value to it. Because when you think about it, when you strip it down, it's pretty simple music, but there's a lot of big production value and a lot of samples and things that give it the sound that it has. And that big sound was definitely something that we wanted to keep across the two parts. And also with the themes of the songs and the subject matters and stuff like that, it really had to stay in that downer kind of theme. Yeah, just wanted to keep it really heavy. Obviously we put out RLS, which is a full clean vocal, a clean singing and rapping song and stuff. But even that, for us, it's in the same vein of music. I guess we're lucky in the fact that because we're a new band, no one can really tell us you can't do that. You're not this kind of band, because we're still in a position to decide which direction our music is going to go, so
yeah,
we still have room to bud before getting pigeonholed into a certain subgenre or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's good as well with it being kind of early days for you guys, and the fact that you're putting them out as EPs pretty quickly after one another. There's no like wait between them, and there's more time for you to kind of like experiment in a short space of time, instead of like, you know, if you wait so long and put RLS out, which kind of leans on your new metal influences and rap influences a bit more, as compared to like a song like Boy, which is just, you know, kind of balls to the wall, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, okay, so with part 2, I mean, there are songs like Boy and like Chemo that people really got attached to. I mean, we still absolutely love that music, and I don't think that's something that's ever going to change. That's why we started the band. But it was really important for us to put out RLS, because I think if we just put out another like balls to the wall song at that point, I think that would have really set in stone, like, or pigeonholed us into being, you know, that band that just puts out heavy bangers and that's it. And although in terms of like, I don't know, sounds stupid, but in terms of like views or like how much attention the song was going to get, probably a lot less than if we just put out another straight banger. I think it's just as important for the evolution of the band that we mold and show like the direction and the different sides of what 1056 can be. I think that was really important for us to do that,
especially so early on, because that kind of then sets the bar, doesn't it? Because if you, let's say, I don't know, 2-3 years down the line, you then start doing this experimentation with a song like RLS, they're kind of like, what the fuck's going on here? But you've already set that expectation pretty early on in the band's career. That's
it. Yeah, for sure. We didn't want to lay down like too much of a simple blueprint. And to come back to the point you were saying before, like, it's important for us also to put out singles and then EPs and stuff regularly, so that the band can evolve bit by bit over shorter periods of time, you know, instead of sitting on an album for, let's say, what the average is like, 2.5 years. And then you put out that album, and then if there's an extreme difference in the sound, then people are always going to be like, oh, what the fuck? But if the evolution happens bit by bit, and I think it's a lot easier for people to understand, you know.
Do you think you're going to stay to the kind of EP single formula for the foreseeable, or do you plan on doing an album at some point in the next, I don't know, couple of years?
Honestly, I really don't. I really don't see us doing an album. I mean, I really don't see us doing an album. I think I'd much rather put out a series of EPs that would then eventually make an album. You know, if people want physical, then, you know, like we can compile part 1 and part 2 and have it, you know. I mean, I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, because maybe that's stuff that's happening right now, you know. I'd much rather the band be able to give our fans music on a more consistent level, you know, more often than have them just wait around for 2.5 years and have us like tour the same songs for 2 years and play the same shit every show, you know. I think the world has changed, and it's super cliche to say because people have been saying this for years, but the way that people consume music has changed so much. Unless you're a like super big band and you know that you're going to sell hundreds of thousands of records, I really don't think that it's beneficial to be putting out straight albums anymore. You know, unless it's just like straight bangers and it happens quick. And I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I just don't think that's not the vision that I have for this band. You know, we just want to put out music consistently. Is what I'm trying to say.
I guess like people's attention spans nowadays are somewhat shorter as well, and like nowadays a band can put an album out and then there's like 2-3 year gap between the next album, and some fans would be like, where did you go? Like, I thought you broke up or something, which is crazy because that's just like a normal time span, you know what I mean?
Dude, I was looking, you know, sometimes I go through the YouTube comments and stuff on our videos just to see what people are saying and what. And it's not one of our last, but our single Yenta, which is the first single from Down a Part 2, like I looked at that, I looked at the comments in there, and it was like, and it'd come out, I think it was 3 or 4 months after the release of that music video. And I opened the comments, and the last comment was like, what happened to this band? Did they already split up? I'm like, mate, it was 4 months ago.
Oh, God.
Wow. Like, we just put out an EP, and then we put out Yenta like a few months after that. And then people are asking if we're already split up. It's like, chill, bro. Chill out.
Yeah.
You know? So, I really can't see that with the attention span that people have these days. Like, I can't see it just disappearing for 2.5 years, because it's hard to stay relevant, you know?
Yeah, but it's hard for you guys as well, because you obviously make this material sometimes several months in advance, and then you're just sitting there and you can't do anything with it because you need to put it out there first. But there's so many things between it being finished to coming out that have to be put into place.
Yeah, for sure. And with a full album, then that just gets multiplied by like two. I mean, like 2 EPs basically.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but we are really lucky in the fact that we produce our music like 100% DIY now. Basically, all of the music is written by Luca, our guitarist, in his bedroom, and he'll write a song in like a day. Sometimes he will just get super caffeined up and do an all-nighter and write a song. And then I'll record the vocals in like a bedroom somewhere, and I'll send it back, and then he'll mix it, and then he'll master it with his mate Martin Grenier, who's a fucking genius, and then it's ready to go. Like we can produce music like really quickly, so that's really great, and it's all in-house.
And quick turnaround as well means you're kind of emotionally attached to it more, aren't you? Like it's more current for you. It's more in the moment for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And again, to go back on the point of like sitting on an album for 2 years, if you're doing one song 1 month and then, 2 years later, you're listening to the same song, but it's not necessarily reflecting what the band represents in that point at that moment, and yeah, I think it's really important for us to put out things that represent the way that we're feeling in the state of the band and the music that we want to play like right then and there, So it's really beneficial for us to be able to turn around music so quickly and put it out.
I believe wasn't Downer originally meant to be the name of the band, but you couldn't take it because was it a rapper that was called Downer, but the E is the number 3, is that right?
Yeah, and I think the O was a 0 or something like that. Yeah, I thought of that name, and then I basically like put it in on Spotify to see if anyone goes by that name, and came across that rapper, and I ended up like finding an email address, and I sent an email saying, like we're just a French metal band starting out. We wanted to call ourselves Downer without the numbers, like just to avoid any problems down the road, Yeah, because luckily we'd already signed a record deal before putting out any music, which was really good. And our label was like, okay, you need to check. And basically they came back to us like, nope. They were like, no, we're gonna, we'll sue you if you go ahead with that name. And we were just like, all right, great. And that was like so soon, so close to the time where we were supposed to be putting out our first music video and stuff. I even think that we had like the band name on the music video. We had to change it and everything. And like, we just changed it last minute to 1056. And that was the best decision. That was the best thing that could have happened, because I love the name 1056. And I think it's, it just sticks in people's heads a lot better. And it has people asking a lot of questions. And I guess Downer is kind of generic for the kind of music that we play, as a band name.
I can't believe they dropped the suing card so fast when you just asked a little question.
Instantly. It was like, no, we're going to sue you. It's like, all right, sick. It's not like we're making any money, but all right, cheers.
Yeah, like you say, it's good that you did that so early, because the worst thing would have been if you'd gone with Downer and then 3-4 EPs down the line or wherever you are, they're like, yeah, change the name or this is going to happen. And then you've got to kind of build the brand a little bit. You've got to like kind of rebrand yourself. And that's just so frustrating.
Well, it would just be another one of those bands that have to put like FR because we're a French band or something like that afterwards, Novelists, that band Novelists. They
had to do it,
and they had to put FR, and I think there's a band called Unity, right? Unity TX.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's what happened to them. That would have sucked. But yeah, like I said, I'm really, really glad that 1056 ended up being the name of the band. I love it so much. And people really like it, and I'm glad to just not have a generic band name.
Is it a reference to the police code? Because I think it's not when you find a body suspected from suicide. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. And big up to... So there's a band called Villains, and I think they changed their name to Youth Forever, and I think they split up. But they had an album called 10 Code, and I think they had a song called 10 Code. And in the song, they had a reference to 1056. And I was just like, that's so cool. And they're from Chicago, and they had this like whole Chicago sound, like Sworn In and Barrier and Monsters and all of those bands. Like I used to love them. I still do. Like Sworn In is still in my top 3 favorite bands of all time. So it's like big homage to that band. So yeah, big up to them, because I guess the idea is really theirs. It's not really mine. I want to pay homage to the bands that like inspired me to do the music that I like the most.
Yeah, it's just like a tip of the hat, I guess. And like you say, you mentioned Sworn In. Like I can definitely hear, at least from like the Death Card era of Sworn In, I can kind of hear that in 1056.
Oh, I love that album. It's so good. I listen to it all the time. I'm so sad that Tyler left the band and they're not really doing anything anymore.
Yeah, I think they've split up. I think that the drummer tweeted something like he doesn't have the energy for it anymore, and there's just not been anything since. I don't know if it's just like a silent breakup. I don't know.
I know that the drummer, who is also a guitarist, I think he's a drummer and also writes everything, and then changed to guitar when the blonde one, I can't remember his name, left the band. And then Tyler left the band, and then one of the guitarists went.
There's a lot of switching around in that band.
Yeah. So, but I saw that that Chris, the drummer, has got a new band that's coming out very soon. So yeah, I'm really excited to hear that. I think those guys super talented. I'm not sure why they fell off, but they definitely deserve to come back and fuck shit up again.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say,
good.
Death Card's such a good album. I think even the two they did after that, was it The Lovers, the Devil, and All Smiles? I think they were good as well. They just had more melody, didn't they? They put more melody in it. I think you had that.
Yeah, I think.
Saying, nope, it's not what I want.
Yeah. Well, honestly, like I didn't get attached to those albums either. It was more, that twisted sound that the Death Card had. That's what people got so like attached to and stuff. So yeah, I think that the switch up definitely kind of caught people off guard, and I think that's why people stopped being so interested.
Yeah.
But nothing takes away from how good the Death Card is. So
Coming back to you guys, are there plans, at least in the foreseeable, for a Downer Part 3, or is Downer kind of going to stop for now? What's going to happen there, or can you not say anything?
Honestly, I mean, I guess I can really say what I want, but I think that the Downer series we can stop. And yeah, I can safely say that it's not going to be a Downer Part 3, but there's going to be other music. But I think we can just stop with the whole Downer thing. But we're still going to continue putting things out at the same pace. But yeah, maybe change it up a little bit. I guess we'll just see what happens, man. We're just continuously writing songs, and maybe there will be a Downer Part 3. Who knows? I don't even know. We were having this conversation the other day with the dudes. But either way, people should know that they won't have to wait too long for music to come out. Whatever happens, if it's called Downer Part 3 or if it's called something else. Yeah,
especially if you're kind of, like you say, churning out songs as quickly as like a couple of days each time. I imagine you've got already got kind of like a vault of songs that are just kind of in different stages of their life at the moment.
Oh, there's loads of those, mate. There's loads. But like, Luca's like such an artist. He'll get 95% through a song. And he'll be like, "Oh, I love it. Check this out." And I'll be like, "Yeah, it's sick." And they'll be like, "Nah, actually, it's total shit. I'm going to start another one." I'm like, "All right, cool then." He can do songs in like 2 days, but he can also get stuck on a song for like 2 months. You know what I mean? Yeah, so there is a whole vault of songs that can be finished off. I guess we'll see which way we want to take, which direction we want to take the next CD in. We'll see which ones we pull out of the vault and which ones we throw in the bin, or maybe he can just sell them to other bands.
Yeah,
I mean, like he's been getting hit up by so many people now to like do their music, which is so awesome for him.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like a byproduct of you guys getting all the attention after dropping all these songs and stuff. Especially if it's like self-producing, they're then going, "Oh, well, here's the evidence of what you can make."
Yeah, I mean, these bands, like there's bands around like maybe paying 1,500 euros, pounds, whatever, a song for like a 12-track album, and they're like going somewhere and recording it, and like with some dude who's gonna blow smoke up their arse, and then like gonna charge them I don't know how much for the mix, and he's not gonna reply to their emails, and it's gonna take forever, and then they're just gonna get fucked around with, and that's why albums take so fucking long. And then there's this like genius guy that can just make music in his bedroom and like mix it himself and put it out. And honestly, it's like the way that music can be made now is like changed so much. And I don't even know what I'm trying to say right here, man. It's just basically he's a genius. He's a genius, and he deserves the recognition. And people should really consider working with smaller, talented guys like that, rather than paying out the arse to go see someone like crazy reputable just because they have a big name and they want that big name to be on their CD for clout or whatever, or to help the band like get a good start because so and so produced it or whatever. I mean, that's cool, but it's so hard to make a living out of music now, and I think it's a really bad start for people to put so much money into having music done by a certain guy, where they could just have something produced that sounds just as incredible, like with someone like Luca. Or I'm just trying to get Luca some work, right?
Yeah. This is an advert, like, yeah. Drop him an email, get him some work, yeah.
Luca's in the corner, like throwing me bills.
Yeah, you need to get some referral royalties, yeah. Well, it's like you say, like nowadays, people can make the most insane, high-quality music just from their bedrooms, whereas, 5-10 years ago, that wasn't necessarily the case. And there's probably loads of like bedroom producers out there that are arguably better than these state-of-the-art producers that are big names. Definitely.
I mean, there's people that are self-taught that just have different techniques or have no technique, It's just like just going against the grain and just kind of, not using the standard producing and mixing rules. They just kind of figured it out by themselves, and along the line kind of found different ways to make the music sound the way it sounds. But yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, he's completely self-taught. He's just like some little dude in his bedroom. And like we wrote Diazepam. Remember, like we wrote that, the three of us, before Luca was in the band. And like we sent it to him, and it didn't sound anything. It sounded like bam. It didn't sound good at all. We sent it to him. He was like, oh, maybe I can make it sound a bit better. And then he sent it back, and it sounds the way it does now on the CD. We were like, what the fuck? We need you in the band. You're a genius. So basically, yeah, that's the sound of 1056. Like comes from him. Like if he wasn't a part of the band, then it just wouldn't sound like that. So we're really lucky to have him around, man.
Like, yeah, good to have him on your side, really.
Dude, I mean, I'm not sure if you read anywhere, but I've known him since he was 13 years old. Man.
Oh yeah, I think didn't you say he came to the first Betraying the Martyrs show that you played in?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
With his mate, maybe his parents, I don't know. And we took a photo together, and we used to talk sometimes and shit. And now he's like one of the people that I look up to like the most. He's grown into a beast of a man. So yeah, really proud of him. I'm really glad to be doing this together.
World works in strange ways, man.
Isn't it?
Like, what was that, like 10, 11 years ago? So,
what, man? Like 12 years ago? Yeah, I don't know. Fucking long time ago, man.
So looking back a bit, when this band started, you announced this project at the same time. You announced you were stepping down from Betraying the Martyrs. How long were you working on putting 1056 together before you kind of decided, I want to focus on that fully and kind of take a step down from Betraying? Or was it you made that decision and 1056 came to be between that internal conversation with the other guys and the statements coming out?
Yeah. So basically the latter. I'd already made the decision with myself, and I'd had the conversation with Steve, who plays in BTM and who we also stole to play in 1056. Like me and him became really close, and yeah, I'd had that conversation with him during the US tours where the trailer caught fire and we lost all our gear and stuff. I'm not sure if you heard about that, but yeah, it wasn't because of that, but it was even before that happened, like at the start of that tour and stuff. And I was just like, dude, I'm just not feeling it anymore. Like, not feeling the music. I'm not feeling the internal vibe. I'm just not happy in the band and stuff. And that dates back to what, 2019 or 18 or something like that. So yeah, like within myself, like I'd made the decision to like leave BTM. I just didn't know like how to actually bring myself to do it. I mean, it was like almost a pride thing. I was like, I'd worked so hard to like make this band happen and like move countries, and like it sounds ridiculous now, but it's to say it, but to have that kind of status that comes with being in the band, it's ridiculous. But like when you've been, fronting a band for so long, and then to face the reality of like, just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna just have a normal job now and stuff. I mean, I'm sure it's not just me, but I'm pretty sure it's the same for many artists and stuff. Like, it's a tough reality to face, to say like, I'll just become a normal person. I just want everyone who's listening to know that I'm throwing up quotation marks right now. Yeah, so that was definitely something really hard for me to face. Like, it was such a long journey, like so many ups and downs. Like to get to that status and get to that stage of my career, that it was really hard for me to just say that I was just going to let it go, and just also let it go without showing the world that although I enjoyed playing music with BTM, like it was never the kind of music that I really wanted to write. You know, I always loved the heaviest possible stuff. Like that was always what I wanted to do, and I think a lot of people realize that too. And I guess I just decided that I didn't want to leave the music scene, quotation marks again, without kind of showing people, okay, this is what I really like and this is what I'm really passionate about. So yeah, before leaving the band, okay, so BTM went into the studio together, like a pre-production studio session thing, like a 1 or 2 week session thing. And like I said to myself, like, okay, I'll see what happens. You know, I'm not going to tell the guys. I'm just going to go into this like writing session and just see what happens. You know, if the music's good and, you know, if I'm feeling the vibe and whatever, then I'll stick around. And just before going in, we'd got together and we'd written a diazepam with Arno and Quentin from 1056, and it was like just an idea. Like the name wasn't there yet. We just decided between us that we, in our respective bands, like we weren't getting the thing that we really wanted out of it. You know, Arno was in a band called Uneven Structure, and Quentin and Kadinja, who were still together. And and so I went to this writing thing, like, and we were doing songs, and I was like recording vocals, and I did like 4 or 5 songs for the new BTM album that obviously never came out. But also, like on the side, like I was recording vocals to diazepam, you know, like during down periods, and I just found myself being so much more like interested and infatuated by this diazepam song and the sound. I was just like, I can't stop thinking about it. And then we got home, and like I had all these mixed BTM songs, and I had this one mixed 1056 song, and I was like listening to the 1056 song like 10 times a day, like getting stoked as fuck. And I just realized that I wasn't even paying any attention to what we'd done with BTM, and that just spoke volumes for me.
Yeah, I mean, it says it all, doesn't it? If you were interested in the song as opposed to 6 songs for BTM.
That's it, yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm really not trying to shit on BTM at all. They're really good friends of mine. Actually, Valentin, the bassist, is in the house, is in right now. Yeah, so we're still all buddies and stuff. But I was just like, yeah, just isn't what I want. So yeah, and I took the decision to leave, and I told the guys. And at that point, you know, I was lucky enough that 1056 we'd already, you know, put together like a song or two, so that it was really good for me to transition, like to leave BTM and then just come straight out with 1056. And that it really wasn't planned that way, you know, to like exit and like come out with another thing, you know, like to perfectly like plan my exit, you know, to fuck over the BTM guys. But that's just the way it worked out. And yeah, I'm really, really glad that it worked out that way.
I mean, you talked about a bit of like, I imagine you had a bit of apprehension leaving, because like you say, you spent so much of your time and effort in BTM. I think you were in the band for like, what, 10, 11 years? So that's a big chunk of your life. You've uprooted and moved from the UK to France. You've toured across all these different countries in the world with these people and stuff. And I guess it's just like the familiarity of that is your life. And as you mentioned before, like the status of it all. And so, yeah, I imagine you were quite apprehensive to, 1, give that up, and 2, obviously we know 1056 has gone down really well now, but at the time that was an unknown, wasn't it? You didn't know what was going to happen when you put that band out.
That was it. Also, at that point, I kind of come to terms with it at that point when we put 1056 out. Like all that mattered to me at that particular point was like, okay, I just want to put out music that lets people know what I really like and what I'm really about. You know, that was really important for me, not to just like leave and be known and remembered just for what we did with BTM, which was like really was a group effort with like lots of different input. And so is 1056, but it's like really what I want to do, and we're really all on the same page with it. And yeah, that was the only thing on my mind at that point. Like I just want to go out gracefully and like show people what I really want. And a byproduct of that is 1056 being a success, quotation marks again. So yeah, that's all just a bonus for me now, and really lucky that people are into it. And now I get like a second chance. Feel really #blessed to be
#blessed.
#blessed. Just feel really lucky to have a second chance. I know a lot of people don't get that. So yeah, I feel really lucky that people are giving us a chance. I mean, it's awesome.
And I guess lyrically as well, from that standpoint, it's a bit more liberating and freeing because it's kind of like a blank slate. You can write about whatever you want. And lyrically, it seems a lot darker than the kind of stuff that was coming out from Betraying.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, it was already a band before I joined, and they already had their values and everything set in stone. So I couldn't really come in and, change all that. And that never really changed over the whole time that I was in the band, So yeah, I mean, I had a lot of stuff that I wanted to say, but I could never say it because it just wasn't it wasn't in line with the band's values, and I had to take into account, the other 5 guys that were in the band. And this time around, like, with all the stuff I had to say, sometimes I just hit up the guys and I'd be like, hey, I think I'm going too far with this song. Like, what do you think? And they've always been so supportive, like, mate, just say whatever the fuck you want. Like, if you have something to say, just say it. And that's super, super liberating. And to have that expressive freedom has been such a huge help for me, like, mentally and basically just mentally. It's just been really good to be able to talk about that stuff. And like, in a weird way, like with my old band, like, we did, a lot of the subject matters were maybe similar, but, turned in a more positive manner, But now with the kind of feedback that we've been getting from the songs with 1056, like, it actually helps people a lot more just to know that there's other people feeling the way that they feel, instead of being like, oh, you're depressed, but it's all great and everything's going to be good because life is sweet. Like, yeah, that's nice to say and stuff, but people who are actually going through that stuff, like, I've been there and kind of am there still, it's nice to hear and stuff, but it doesn't help. It's always better it feels better just to know that you're not alone. And yeah, the amount of feedback and the amount of people that come out and say, like, thank you so much for writing this. I thought I was alone. And yeah, it's a great feeling to know that people are finding that in our music. It feels awesome.
I guess that's always like really, I can't think what the word is, but when like you kind of mentioned them, people relating to your lyrics to the point where it's helping them in their lives. That must be just like so gratifying, I think maybe is the right word, or
yeah, definitely. Super gratifying. That again is another like bonus byproduct of I never kind of wrote those songs in order to like inspire people or whatever. I just wanted to get stuff off my chest, and people say to me like, oh, thank you so much, you let me know that I'm not alone. But those people that say that to me like make me feel a lot better too, because when I'm writing these songs I'm like, shit, what are people going to think of me, like being so vulnerable and stuff, and having people say that same thing to me, it has exactly the same effect on me too. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not alone either, and it feels great to know that other people feel the same way as I do.
So I guess introducing this new project during, when COVID was kind of still rife and all the lockdown and stuff, I guess that presented some difficulties for you guys in a way, but then also because you can't tour live and there's the limitations of life with the lockdowns and also less distractions. I guess maybe that kind of helped you put your heads down and focus on the launch plan, I suppose.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think COVID, like when it happened, it seemed to put like all bands, no matter what size, all on the same playing field. No one's doing big tours, and all bands were just like put onto the same level. Like, all right, everyone's at home, everyone's just writing music, and everyone was just being judged on the content that they were putting out, and that was it. And I think that really worked to our favor. And yeah, like, man, I would have gone mental. Like, my partner at the time, she went to Kenya for like 4 months, and she like got stuck there as well for longer during COVID. So I was just like at home on my own, just like going mental.
Yeah.
During that whole COVID time, like 1056 was like coming to fruition, and it was just such a perfect time. Like, all of us were just so focused on it, and we just put our heads down. And yeah, just literally everything happened during COVID. So like when COVID stopped, we had music out, we had a tour booked. It was just so sick. It really, I feel kind of bad. I don't want to say it was a positive, because obviously, like, I know tens, hundreds of thousands of people died, and it was obviously a huge, huge tragedy. But speaking only in the sense of music and the time that it allowed us to have, that was definitely a bonus, and it definitely helped keep us sane. And like, devil makes work for idle hands, man, and I've definitely been a victim to that in the past. So it was really healthy for us to have that to work on, and it was awesome. And plus, like I said, like no one was doing tours, and not a lot of bands were really putting stuff out either, so it was easy to not be too influenced by what other bands are doing. And that's something that 1056, we really try not to do at all anyway, like our influences are drawn a lot from different music genres, but it really just helped us to focus on, okay, what do we want to do as a band, not like what do we want to do to keep up with like, so and so and so and so, and be relevant or whatever. It allowed us to kind of put ourselves in our own bubble and really, like you say, just like put the plan together about what we really want. And we were, doing Zoom meetings like every fucking day and really planning it out. And it was a really great period of time. Again, apart from the hundreds of thousands of people losing their lives, which is terrible.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, it was really great and productive and creative time for me, and definitely marked a big change in my life. And out of all the things that have happened in my life and my career, and as small and unimportant as it may be, like compared to other careers, and 1056 is definitely the most important and impactful thing that's ever happened to me as a person. And really grateful for that.
Yeah. Like you say, generally speaking, obviously the pandemic was terrible. People died, businesses went under. But strictly speaking about kind of like, 1056 and your creativity and stuff, I guess as well, because no one else knew that 1056 was a thing at the time, you could take all the time in the world to make sure that everything was in place before you told people.
That was it. It was, we were not like rushing to get a single out and like by this date to make sure that maybe we get on this tour or whatever. It was just like, we take our time and just do things the way that we want. And I really think that helped to set out the blueprint for the way that the band works out in the future. Like we just do things the way we want in our own time, really trying not to pay attention to what anyone else is doing, and just hope that people like it. And I think so far it's been working out pretty well for us.
What was it like to finally kind of showcase the songs live as well when that time came around? Because not only to show these 1056 songs live, but from the whole pandemic and obviously you stepping down from Betraying, you'd not played on the stage for so long.
Yeah, I think the last show I did with BTM was January of 2019, I want to say. And then I'm not sure exactly when the first 1056 show was. Was it last year? Was it last year? I think it was last year.
Well, so part one came out November 2021. So how long was it after that?
Yeah, it would have been 2022. It was with Landmarks. It was part of that tour. I think our first ever show was in Paris, sold out, and it was great. And I think a lot of people were really curious to see if we could pull the fatness of the sound off live, And that luckily we've got a really good sound and light and tech team behind us that made that possible. And like we all live for the live setting. I mean, writing music and being in the studio or being in your bedroom or whatever. Say being in the studio, but being in your bedroom. That's all like cool and shit. But we all do it so we can be on tour and like feel that power and the energy. And it's just a whole different experience playing this kind of music. It's just like so invigorating. It feels great, man. Especially coming, like you said, after that like 2-year break and then coming back with a new style of music, new band, everything's fresh, and seeing the reaction and seeing the people that follow the project since day one. Like the first show was crazy, like all the people singing the words and shit. It was like, it was such a big motivator for us, just be like, oh shit, people actually care, this is great. And it really gave us a boost. And every time we play live, we're so taken back by how much people are like invested into the project, and people are like getting tattoos and shit. And it's like, whoa, chill out.
You've even got the tattoo on your eyelid, haven't you? You've got 1056 on your eyelids.
Yeah. Sorry, Mum. But like I said, I mean, like that was a no-brainer for me. Like I said before, it was this project and the personal change it represented for me. It's like such a big part of my life. And I mean, I'm 32 now. I'm not like old, but I mean, I can't see many big turning points that are this meaningful to me happening in the future. And no matter how this project ends or how long it goes for, this will always be like the proudest moment and one of the hardest and best decisions that I've made. So I'm really proud to represent the band name on my face.
Yeah. For life.
For life. For life. Got to remember that. Shit,
Yeah.
for life.
Well, you mentioned the future. You've got a tour across France this month to promote the new EP. You've got Hellfest. I saw you got announced the other day. You've got a UK and European tour with Alpha Wolf as well in April, I think. How are you feeling about all that, and what else is planned so far for 2023?
I don't think I can say what. Cause we've got some really, really sick stuff planned. We've got Impericon festivals. We've got some really awesome international stuff planned that, we're working on getting those visas. We actually had to turn down. We accepted and then had to drop off of 2 US tours already.
Oh God!
Because of how strenuous the US visa process is for a new band and for new members if you don't have touring history. So yeah, that was a bit of a blow to the band, but we're going to get there. The plans are set in place. The things are booked. So you're really excited to get over there. I mean, the year's looking crazy already. I mean, we have, 50 something shows planned already, and
wow,
seem to be slowing down. And that's just until April. So yeah, really #blessed to have people interested in booking the band and seeing us live. So I don't want to seem like a big sucker, but honestly, like the appreciation that I feel that people are invested into this band as much as we've invested ourselves into it, it's just mental for me and for all of us. And even after 12 years of being in the game, it's still so touching for me and for the rest of the guys.
Well, sounds super exciting. Before I let you go and enjoy the rest of your day, and if you got any final words you want to say, anything you want to share, plug, the floor's yours.
I've said it. I feel like I've said it 100 times during this course of this interview. I just want to say thank you for all of those that have given us a chance as a new band, given me a second chance as an artist. Kind of feeling a little bit emotional right now. So
blessed.
I'm kind of feeling #blessed that people are letting us slay. No, honestly, I mean, I really don't have the words. It just feels great to have so many people invested into the band. Obviously, we've got Down a Part 2 coming out January 13th with a little surprise on the day coming out too. We've got a few more surprises coming out shortly afterwards that haven't been announced yet. But in terms of content wise, please come and see us at a show. Please come and say hello. The interaction that we have with our fans and people at shows is what we really do this for. So please don't be scared to come and say hello. Honestly, we're probably the most awkward people in the room. so please come and talk to us to make us look cool. Yeah, just a big thank you to everyone, and especially to the people in UK. I mean, again, to talk about my previous project, I really, being an English bloke and even after being in France for 12 years, I really, really identify with England and being an English person. That's something I take huge pride in. And having so much love from the UK for 1056 means more to me than I can even describe. So yeah, to people listening in the UK, thank you for giving us the time of day to listen to our band and come to shows and show us love. That's amazing. It means a lot to me. And yeah, I don't really know else what I can say, man. Just thank you. Thank you so much.
I think thank you is a good one to end off on. So thanks, dude. I'll catch you in Manchester.
All right, mate. See you there.
Yeah, dude. Bye.
Cheers, man.
And that's it. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, please consider supporting the podcast in any way that you can. We have a Patreon where you can get access to each episode a week early, along with some other perks, a merch store, or you can leave a review wherever you're listening to this. You can also follow me on social media or subscribe to the newsletter where I'll send out each episode to you via email, along with regular playlists. All of this can be found at itsnotaphase.co.uk. That's itsnotaphase.co.uk. Thanks again for listening, and remember, it's not a phase, it's a lifestyle.